This podcast encourages and empowers you to create your own unique real story, develop your own unique real statement, and discover your own unique real self. The power is yours. Good night, Anthony English. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful night?
Really delighted to speak to you. It's hot here in Sydney. How is it where you are?
It's actually pretty cool here, which is intriguing because usually we get around 25 degrees Celsius, but right now it's like 22s, 23s, which is a bit weird for being in the Caribbean, you know, but it's cool.
Yeah, well, it's great speaking to you, and I love this format. I mean, a 12-minute podcast, are you kidding?
Well, I mean, do tell us, you are in Sydney, right? You said, is it night there or is it day there right now?
Okay, so it's morning time here, late morning, and it's a hot day because it's summer. So we've just been through a heat wave over 40 degrees.
Ouchie.
Yeah.
Ouchie. Well, okay. Well, do tell us, Anthony, like, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this specific time in history?
So I would say communicating with people. I have even though I've got a technical IT background, I'm not your fairly typical IT person who, likes to be buried on the keyboard and yeah, that's really important for me. Being able to build rapport very quickly.
Well, I mean, from your LinkedIn profile, you quickly switched jobs. Like, you didn't stay in any one job for more than 5 years, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's fairly typical these days. Certainly in Australia, it's pretty rare for anybody to stay more than 3 years in a job. I mean, it depends, but that's fairly rare.
So who did you learn that from, like that ability to adapt really quickly? Because it seems as though you've been testing things. From what I'm seeing from afar, you're testing things and now you're helping others. Who did you learn that ability from?
Thanks. Yeah, no, that's a very, very insightful observation, and it's absolutely true. And I am learning it. Yeah, look, I've had a lot of mentors who've been good, and most of them have been through a fairly similar journey in that they started off as maybe web developers or maybe technical people, and they've had to have a major switch, and just learning how to do that so that you're not just talking about your own expertise is really powerful. So one of the things that's been really interesting for me is that I tell people who are looking that they have to switch because that's just the economy these days. Is I tell them, look, don't just focus on your skill set or on your expertise, because otherwise you can be a bit like a dentist. And a dentist who says, "Hey, I'm a top dentist. Can I interest you in some root canal surgery?"
It's not one of the best entry statements, isn't it?
Well, that's right. You're really solving a problem, and in language that your client understands, using their words. Where does it hurt? In their terms. Because as soon as you start to speak about your specialty, your solution, your expertise, your skills, your experience, you're going to lose them.
Yeah, I wonder about that sometimes. I think from having this many conversations, I've picked up a thing or two in terms of how you bring value to a conversation. And one definitely is listening, where you're asking questions of the other person with the intent of only listening. It's very valuable, isn't it?
Well, absolutely. And I'm a real chatterbox, which is a problem. Generally, if you're a little bit more of an introvert, it's a big advantage when you are trying to sell. And that active listening is so important because you're really trying to understand what's behind things, especially when people, this is really interesting, when people change the topic very quickly. sometimes they're getting to a point where they're feeling a bit nervous, and then they'll change the topic. And then being able to create that safe space, just that little piece of silence to say, listen, we don't actually have to change there. I know I've hit something that you're a bit scared about. That's okay. Can I just create that safe space for you? When you may not say it in those words, but do you want to talk about that a little bit more? Do you want, is that something that's important to you? And just something as delicate as that can be really valuable.
Most definitely. Now, you're helping other people learn and understand how to do business in a way that turns a conversation into profit. Is that accurate?
Yes, it is. I mean, it's the problem is it's a bit vague, isn't it? It's a bit general, because what I find is that, to speak about business or business coaching and so on, well, what does that mean? Does that mean you do accounting or legal or what? So what I really try to do is two things. One is to show them deep empathy. So that, because people feel intimidated, they feel, I don't know how to sell. I hate selling. I don't know what to charge. I don't know what price. I don't know where to find clients. And the other one is a really sharp diagnosis as well. And so if you use the doctor analogy, it's a little bit like asking, is a bit like being able to really diagnose which symptoms are the most important ones, but also having the bedside manner to allow them to say, look, I'm sorry, this is a really dumb question, but can I ask it anyway?
Yeah, I love that. So where's the best place for someone who's listening to connect with you, Anthony?
Yeah, so LinkedIn, I'm very active on LinkedIn, and that's been helpful for me because there are just so many small businesses and micro businesses and people who know that they know one thing really well and they're really hopeless at other stuff, just like all of us. Yeah, and being able to reach out to me on LinkedIn. But if they say that they've heard me on this podcast, that's going to be really, really valuable. Otherwise, who are they? I don't even know. Try and put things in context,
Definitely. Well, do tell me one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years, please.
Writing.
Ooh.
I have overcome procrastination and perfectionism, and I now consistently write and publish or videos pretty much every day.
Ooh.
And the big win there for me was not waiting till it was perfect. I thought if I do that, I'm just going to be procrastinating. And so I say publish or perish. That's my attitude. And if I don't have something out there in front of the eyes of strangers, then I've failed. So what I do is, so I say if it's worth doing badly. You can always go back and edit.
1.0, and then you can move to 1.1. And
That's the spirit.
1.0. Love it. How does it make you feel? I mean, seeing what you've been able to move into from moving out of procrastination.
Yeah, it's something that I love doing. In terms of the business itself, it's been a big struggle for me, to be completely transparent, because I didn't know anything about selling or pricing or anything. But I absolutely love helping others through exactly the same challenges because I understand what it's like. I can't say that I've got the Lamborghini and the laptop lifestyle or anything like that. So being able to connect with people, and I'm maybe one or two steps ahead of them, I think is really, really precious. It's really valuable.
Definitely. It's the real deal. I love it. Well, amazing audience. You're hearing it live from Anthony English. Do connect with him. He is available on LinkedIn. He says he does it in 15 minutes. He can do it in 15 minutes. What I do in 12 minutes, right? And I love that. So I loved it. Let's switch gears for a moment, Anthony. Let me invite you now into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm blue Caribbean water. Anthony.
Oh, wow.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
Yeah, so when I was, I think about 3, I remember touching a glass, a small glass table in our family, in our lounge room, our living room. And I remember touching it, and I remember Mum saying to me, Now, I didn't do any damage. There was nothing broken or anything. But I remember my mum, who died a couple of years ago. I remember she told me, and I remember being in trouble. Now, that's not a trauma, but it was just a moment where I thought, I realised there's a difference between right and wrong. Isn't that interesting?
It is. How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Well, I think a lot of people speak about integrity and trust and so on, but that's not something that you can exactly talk about because, people don't say, oh, no, I don't actually believe in trust. Please buy from us. I don't have any integrity. Please buy from us. But it does come through in so many different ways when working with people because so many people have got such good hearts and they really want to give. Yes, of course, they want to make money, but they really want to give of themselves as well. And so just being able to show that you don't have to leave your conscience at the door when you're selling. You don't have to, that's very important, being able to still be true to yourself.
Yeah, I love it. You know what I love in that memory that you just expressed as well? The fact that she didn't say yes or no, which are usually pretty strong words, right? But that she said, to understand that it's gentle, yeah? There's a way you can communicate that's gentle, that creates a space for not the trauma, right? Because as you said, it wasn't traumatic. It was just like, oh, okay, so there's a difference between right and wrong. All right. I love that.
That's great, and I think that's also something true that we really apply in business today, is that we seem to be afraid of hearing no, and we seem to be wanting a big yes. And I'm just saying, no, things are smaller than that. Like, no deal. If you lose a big deal, don't worry about the great big scary no. It's not going to happen. Let's take things in micro steps. Yeah. Okay, what do you have? What can you achieve? What abilities do you have, rather than focus on, this big deal that hasn't come through yet. Yeah.
Love that. All right, my friend. If we fast forward to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
When I was 12, I am ashamed. No, I'm not ashamed, but I was an ABBA fan.
All right. What song from ABBA?
Yes. So probably Dancing Queen and a few of those ones. Yeah.
All right.
Is this going public?
It is.
Can we just? Can we kill?
Well, the good thing is we're not playing the songs anymore, but we will share it on LinkedIn though. But we're not playing the songs.
I love their harmony. I love their harmonies.
Great.
Which may be really one of the cool kids at school. Obviously not.
All right, Anthony. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form, so it's going to be yes or no. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
Anthony, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, I have.
Are you married?
I am.
Do you have children?
7.
Wow. Do you believe in God? Wow.
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes, I do.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
We don't even have a TV.
Ooh, wow.
We don't have a TV, so it answers both those questions.
Wow. What about screen time? The phone and the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Yeah, it's probably more than 8, I would say, for me, because of my work, yeah.
If you had to share with us, Anthony, your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
A kind and fatherly person who is understanding people in their business. Wow, that's a fairly vague sort of statement, but yeah. Understanding the business value that people are bringing in a kind and fatherly way. That's better.
Oh, there we go. All right. Anthony, well, this is a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
I am going to say, when people tell you just do it, I'm saying just ignore that advice. Don't just do it, but just do a little bit. Take the next step.
I love it. Anthony, again, great pleasure, my friend. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Fantastic, Angel.
You're welcome.
This segment has been brought to you by Amazel Enterprise.